bankers are greedy, evil people who are paid far too much, particularly when they get bonuses, and who contribute nothing to the health of the UK economy. That seems to be the view of most tabloid newspapers in the UK, and an awful lot of the people who read those tabloid newspapers are coming round to that point of view, partly because there are very few people arguing the other side of the case. Those that do tend to be ejected from parties. One man who does, though, is Chris Roebuck of Cass Business School, a long background in HR in the investment banking industry. I asked him why he was prepared to stick his head above the parapet.
I think there's a core question about whether or not you reward performance and how you measure that performance. Certainly in terms of the people who are earning those sort of figures, there is a direct relationship to the amount of business that they bring in. And to a degree, that's exactly the same principle as you would apply to, for example, somebody selling Fords in Birmingham at a garage. As far as that's concerned, you get a percentage of the money you bring in. Now, the issue is, for those in the city, that obviously the amount of money they're potentially bringing in for their organisation is so much bigger than your car salesman example, then inherently the bonus is going to be bigger. So maybe the question isn't about, is the bonus the issue? Maybe the issue is the amount of money that these people can make from the margins the issue.
Why do you think this has become such a hot topic in the media?
It's completely understandable within the context of people losing their jobs, within the context of people having pay cuts and all those sort of issues, and certainly when applied to the financial sector, the issues around the credit crunch and all the rest of it. It's completely unsurprising that people get extremely annoyed when they see people who are being paid more in 1 year than they would ever earn in their life.
I get a sense you don't really feel journalists are reporting this fairly, do you?
I think that's absolutely right. Some journalists, to be fair, are trying to get a handle on the accurate end of the story, but the vast majority of reporting in certainly the tabloids is almost on the hysterical side. There has been some pretty good analysis, but it's fair to say that the public certainly isn't, as a generality, being given an accurate picture.
And you feel that's dangerous?
I feel it's particularly dangerous because what it's doing is it's actually calling into question the principle of the bonus. And the bonus is a key part of performance-related pay. And we know, historically and from a tremendous amount of evidence, that performance-related pay is better for the individuals, better for the organisations, and better for the country as a whole. If you think about it, the alternative to performance-related pay is paying people irrespective of whether they perform well. And that doesn't make sense to anybody. And in fact, in terms of the perspective of minimising risk in organisations, actually paying people for future performance you are hoping is going to come in, rather than performance they've delivered, creates a greater risk, not a lesser risk.
You're also fairly unimpressed with the reaction of politicians to this row.
Yes, if you look at the comments that have been made by the politicians, we've had suggestions from George Osborne that no one should get a bonus of more than £2,000. Now, when I heard that and discussed that with colleagues, the comment was, what planet has Mr. Osborne just come back from? On the basis that if you look at a £2,000 bonus, what is he saying? Is he saying this applies to financial services? Is this to apply to everybody in the country? You can hardly turn around and say, well, terribly sorry, this only applies to financial services, but to you in a state agency, to you in selling cars, to you in any other form of business that pays a bonus, you can have more than £2,000. If he's saying everybody is limited to £2,000, then I suspect that there will be a storm in the country.
What would be a sensible alternative way forward?
I think the sensible way forward is not actually to question the concept of bonuses. It's more to question how are they calculated, what are they calculated on, which is the first issue. And secondly, the issue is that as the bonus is derived from the amount of money that the individual is bringing in, that links back to the structure of the financial services industry globally and the amount of money that an individual can make on a specific deal, which is inherently the margin.
And is that a decision that should be taken by businesses or governments?
It's a decision that has to be taken by both. One of the issues I think that the government currently has is that inherently they're trying to regulate the British end of what is a global market in such a way that it doesn't completely destroy the British banking industry in the process. Now, obviously, the key people in these markets globally are fairly mobile, and they have the ability to move where they want. So if something is done within the UK regulatory framework which precludes those individuals and their organisations from making as much money as they could, they will move. It's as simple as that.
Really?
Yes, I think they will. You know, there's without doubt a small group of people who make a lot of money from banking who are able to move at will. Certainly from my experience, I know of people at all levels within international banks who, not just in terms of this issue, but in terms of career development, are prepared to move between London, Zurich, New York, Singapore, Shanghai, wherever it happens to be appropriate for them to work. Now, if they're prepared to do that for career development purposes, they're certainly prepared to do that for financial purposes.
Professor Chris Roebuck, thank you.